Liliths and ghoul goyles, welcome to hell. Welcome to the show. I am Count St. Gerard, a curator of nightmares, and this is Monsters Anthology Volume 1. Tonight, I offer only a tantalizing morsel of the darkness to come. First, an epic duel of beasts, starring yours truly. Next, we'll pay a visit to an old acquaintance, a warlock whose heart burns only for the cold embrace of the unnatural. And finally, we rendezvous with one of my former consorts, who still dares to spurn my entreaties, no matter I've moved on. That bloody bitch! Now, let us begin with a bang, which was, indeed, the very last note my first victim ever heard. It's all returning to me now. Why, it feels like ages ago, yet it was only 3 centuries. What the heck? A vampire wakes up from his casket under the full moon. A werewolf is howling. Suddenly, a bat flies up to the werewolf and attacks him. The werewolf fights back, but the bat is relentless. So the werewolf takes off running, and just when you think he's gonna make it, the bat transforms into a vampire and sinks its claws into his neck. The werewolf attempts to overwhelm the vampire, but he turns into mist, and the werewolf chokes on it. And just as the sun is about to rise, the vampire appears from the mist and shoots the werewolf with a silver bullet. The werewolf dies. The vampire flies back to his casket just in time for the sunrise. This was the first time I ever drew blood. I think I did a pretty good job. How do you think it turned out? I still feel that thrill when I caught the lupin brute unawares. Mind you, the hunt wasn't over so swiftly. I'd forgotten my silver bullets. Fury drove me back to the lair, where I scoured every vault until, at last, I returned to find him feasting on some hapless midnight stumbler. Out of courtesy, if one can call it that, I let him savor his final supper, then blew his snout clean off. For our next glimpse into the macabre, meet a once brilliant magician. Human, gullible, and obsessed with love. Alas, no spell nor incantation could win him a wife, so he struck a darker bargain. With demons, fresh cadavers of delicate noble women, procured by his mortician ally. We lost touch soon after. Let us discover what horrors he has conjured since. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there was a necromancer who lived in a castle along with his 2 corpse brides. They all enjoyed each other's company, or at least they did until the necromancer decided to use his magic to enchant one of the brides. The other one got insanely jealous, and on Halloween, while he was raising an even more beautiful bride for himself from the dead, she snapped. The zombie wives tore him into 3 pieces. One kept his head, one kept his torso, and one his lower body. But being the good necromancer that he was able to bring himself back to life from beyond the grave. Albeit, as a disembodied head, they all remained dead, happily ever after. The end. Love at last found him, or so I'm told, though I hope at least a third of his remains can still savor the pleasure. Now, to matters of my own heart. I once danced in the flames of passion with a fiery crimson-haired enchantress, a daughter of Lamashtu, whose every touch threatened to thaw my immortal veins. Was it love, perhaps? Let us find out if she still possesses that seductive inferno. This is a tragic tale of succubus love. In a quaint town nestled among rolling hills, a respected physician had cared for Charles since he was a boy. Save for the occasional sniffle, Charles had always been the picture of health. One crisp autumn morning, Charles shuffled into the doctor's office for his routine checkup. The change was startling. His once vibrant eyes were sunken, his cheeks hollow, his very essence seemed drained. Alarmed, the doctor ordered a battery of tests, but each came back unremarkable. Chalking it up to the stresses of modern life, he advised Charles to take it easy. Weeks slipped by, and Charles's condition deteriorated rapidly. When he next appeared, it was in a wheelchair, his body frail and withered, hair streaked with premature grey, unable to even stand. He was a shadow of his former self. Panic hit the doctor as he rushed Charles to the hospital. Suddenly, Charles's vitals dropped, and chaos erupted as the staff scrambled to stabilize him. In a moment of lucidity, the doctor clasped Charles's hand, imploring him to reveal what had brought him to this state. With trembling lips, Charles spoke of a woman with fiery red hair who visited him nightly in his dreams. She would stay until dawn, leaving him utterly spent, as though he had toiled without rest. This had been his nightly torment for months. The doctor was stunned, struggling to grasp the meaning of the story. Just then, the heart monitor let out a long wail. Charles was fading, and they couldn't bring him back. As Charles lay still, the last vestiges of life having fled his body, a striking nurse with flowing red locks approached. With tender care, she caressed his face, a gesture both loving and possessive. The doctor, shaken to his core, called out to her, but she glided away without acknowledging his presence. Bewildered, he questioned the staff about the mysterious redhead, only to be met with blank stares and assurances that no such nurse worked at the hospital. That night, as the doctor tossed and turned in his bed, grief and unanswered questions plaguing his mind, he finally succumbed to exhaustion. In the realm between waking and dreaming, she appeared, the woman with hair like flames. As she began to disrobe, her otherworldly beauty captivated him completely. In that moment, the truth of Charles's fate became crystal clear, and as the red-haired temptress smiled, a mixture of allure and menace in her eyes, the doctor found himself powerless to resist her embrace. He eagerly surrendered to his fate. Alas, poor Charles met an untimely end, but you can be sure he enjoyed his downfall. And that decrepit physician, did you glimpse the lechery in his eyes? I must consult the underworld directory and dispatch the Cenobites with my condolences. And so concludes our first foray into memory's shadowed corridors. On the next moonrise, we'll unveil a true ghoul, an exceedingly rare feast for the senses, before journeying to the Big Easy in its colonial gloom. They knew how to revel in those days, though the stench of humanity was enough to make one crave a garlic snuff, rather than endure another nostril invasion. Indeed, I would gladly whiff garlic over the crevice of one of those harlots. I'll see you on the other side of fear, dear mortals. Until then, sleep never.